CSIR-NET syllabus is NET syllabus for physical chemistry area. Which one is mentioned? Physical chemistry area, CSIR-NET syllabus. Physical chemistry syllabus is what? For CSIR-NET syllabus. So, which is mentioned, nearly 14 units will be mentioned, 14 units, right? The first unit which is mentioned in the syllabus, which is mentioned according to that syllabus, which is mentioned, basic principles of quantum mechanics. Basic principles of quantum mechanics. Basic principles of quantum mechanics, comma, postulates, and operator algebra, and exactly solvable systems, and particle in a 1D box, 3D box, and harmonic oscillator, and Schrödinger equation to the hydrogen atom, including shapes of the atomic orbitals, and spin and orbital angular momentum, and tunneling. This is mentioned as the first unit in the CSIR syllabus. And second one unit which is mentioned, second one unit mentioned, approximate methods in quantum mechanics, approximate methods in quantum mechanics. Which one is mentioned? Variation principle or variation method. And another one which is mentioned, perturbation method up to second order in energy. And its applications. Up to second order in energy and its application. This is mentioned as the second unit in the syllabus, CSIR-NET syllabus. And third unit which is mentioned in the syllabus, atomic structure and spectroscopy. In this area, which is mentioned, term symbol, and many electron systems, and antisymmetry principle. This is mentioned as the third unit in CSIR syllabus, physical chemistry syllabus. And fourth unit which is mentioned, chemical bonding in diatomics, in this topic mentioned as molecular orbital theory and valency band theories, in quantum treatment, molecular orbital and valency band theories in terms of the quantum mechanical. In quantum treatment, molecular orbital and valency band theory is mentioned, valency band theories, and mention Huckel theory for Huckel theory or Huckel molecular orbital theory for conjugated pi electron systems. Conjugated pi electron systems. Conjugated pi electron systems. So these four units which are related to the quantum mechanics, but he was subdivided to the 4 units in syllabus. 4 units specifically is mentioned, but these 4 units are interrelated. These 4 units are interrelated and related to the quantum mechanics. Nearly based on these 4 units, in detailed manner, I can prepare 60 hours of videos. 60 videos, each one video nearly 1 hour, 1 to 1 hour or nearly 1.5 minutes, 1 hour 5 minutes, 1 hour 10 minutes also there. I prepared 60 hours videos, 60 classes. Detailed discussion takes place because these 4 units which are related to the quantum mechanics will cover in the CSIR examination, while you can analyze the previous 10 to 15 years, 10 years previous, 10 to 12 years examinations, previous examinations. It covers 25 to 30 marks. 25 to 30 marks will cover so far. In every exam, either June exam or December exam, you can analyze the question papers, previous question papers. For these 4 units will cover 25 to 30 marks. Nearly 4 to 5 long answer questions, 4 marks questions will be there. 4 to 5, 4 marks questions will be given. And also 2 to 3 short answer questions also there. 2 to 3 short answer questions, 2 marks questions in every exam. Right? Already these videos are already uploaded. You can watch the videos at any time. The videos are very helpful and highly conceptual, as well as covers many practice bits and also covers previous examinations questions also. Right? So in most probably, this basic principles of quantum mechanics means here in this case, the black body radiation, photoelectric effect, de Broglie hypothesis, and Heisenberg uncertainty principle, right? And photoelectric principle and Planck's theories. All this may be covers in the basic concepts. And postulates which are mentioned in the syllabus, that 5 postulates are there. That is very helpful to learn the entire quantum mechanics. It depends upon these postulates only. I can explain in a detailed manner. And operator algebra is there. In operator algebra also, so questions will be there related to the commutative operators and linear operators and Hermitian operators. Linear and Hermitian operators. Based on that, the questions will be there. And exactly solvable systems are there. Right? So here in this case, orthogonal and normalization conditions and eigen conditions. So the most probably is the questions will be given eigen conditions case, either maybe 4 marks question is there, or commutative operator case 4 marks question is there. Eigen and commutative operator, anyone if it is given the 4 marks question. Sometimes it may be Hermitian operator also question will be given. Hermitian operator. And another one which is mentioned, particle in 1D box, 3D box and 2D box also there. But it is not mentioned, but it is also there, 2D box. The comparison of the energy levels and energy diagrams, right? And many aspects, wave functions, degeneracies and order of degeneracies, right? So that related questions will be there in the particle in 1D, 3D, 2D boxes, right? Right? So this is an important area. Every time, almost every time there is a question is there for the particle in 1D, 2D, 3D box. And harmonic oscillator is also important concept. Harmonic oscillator. energy as well as wave function and normalization constants, right? And this harmonic oscillator and particle in 1D, 3D box as well as this Schrodinger wave equation to the hydrogen atom, we are using again in the case of the perturbation theory as well as the variation principle. So that's why quantum mechanics is interrelated. You can't learn the perturbation theory directly if you doesn't know the particle in 1D harmonic oscillator Schrodinger wave equation. You doesn't understood the 1D, 3D harmonic oscillator or Schrodinger wave equation. Suppose you don't know the postulates. Suppose you don't know the postulates, you cannot understood even a single sentence of this remaining topics because it is interrelated. So that's what I can prepare 60 videos in a sequence manner from very beginning to that very beginning. If you don't have any idea about the quantum mechanics, but you can watch the videos in a sequence manner, you have rich in subject in quantum mechanics. After all videos are watching, you have enough subject is there in the quantum mechanics. At any level the questions will be given, you can attempt after watching the 60 videos of this quantum mechanics. So that's what more classes will be taken this area, right? So this harmonic oscillator and Schrodinger wave equation to the hydrogen atom also the questions will be given. Quantum numbers, how can you obtain the quantum numbers n, l, m and which nodes are there, right? And shapes of the atomic orbitals also related to that Schrodinger wave equation to the hydrogen and hydrogen like atoms. Not hydrogen atom, hydrogen and hydrogen like atoms. Hydrogen like atoms. Right? Helium plus lithium plus 2, beryllium plus 3 like that atoms. And spin and orbital angular momentum also is very important concept. Spin and orbital angular momentum. In particularly gate examination point of view, the questions will be there in the syllabus point of view. Spin and orbital angular momentum is very important, and again this is related to the antisymmetry principle. And antisymmetry principle also it is related. Right? It is also related to the antisymmetry principle also. Right? This orbital angular momentum and tunneling takes place. Tunneling is also another one concept which is there. Right? And in the Schrodinger equation to the hydrogen and hydrogen like atom, Varial theorem also there. Another one, Varial theorem also there. That is not mentioned in the syllabus, but questions are there. Varial theorem also. Right? Next, another unit which is mentioned, the approximate methods in the quantum mechanics, average methods, average or approximate method, that means calculation of the approximate energy or average energy like that. So variation principle or variation method is there. This area, the 4 marks question will be covered. So one is in the particle in 1D, 3D box, compulsory, and either it may be the harmonic oscillator or Schrodinger wave equation, compulsory question is there. Another one, based on this area, variation method, and another one it may be the perturbation method up to second order in energy and its application. This area, compulsory, there is a 4 marks question is there. Compulsory, there is a chance to asking the 4 marks question. Every exam, almost the question will be there in the variation method or perturbation method. Another one it may be the Schrodinger wave equation or harmonic oscillator. Another one it may be the 1D, 3D box. Right? Sometimes it may be spin and orbital angular momentum. Right? Next, in the case of the atomic structure and spectroscopy, most probably the questions will be given many electron systems, and this part is also came in the inorganic point of view also, but here it is also mentioned this term symbols, right? Particularly which is related to the electronic spectra like that. Alright, spectroscopy point of view also which is mentioned, term symbols and spectroscopy relations. And for many electron systems, so the antisymmetry principle is how to apply that. Antisymmetry principle. Compulsory, there is a question in the antisymmetry principle, Pauli exclusion principle or antisymmetry principle. Compulsory, there is a question in the every exam. In many electron systems, antisymmetry principle, compulsory there is a question is there. Which one is symmetric, which one is antisymmetric? For fermions is what, for bosons is what? We are not considering the bosons, we are considering the fermions, right? So, which one is symmetric, which one is antisymmetric? That combinations. And these combinations also which is related to the molecular orbital and as well as the valency band theories. There is a link between the many electron systems and antisymmetry principle, molecular orbital and valency band theory. The question is also not independent. So molecular orbital valency band theory as well as antisymmetry principle, based on this there is a question is there. Every time there is an examination point of. And every time, almost every time question is there. In the 4th unit of the chemical bonding in diatomic molecules. So you may expect the question from molecular orbital theory, valency band theory, and it's related to the antisymmetry principle. And you can, and almost the every time there is a question is also there. Another one area, Huckel theory of the conjugated pi electron systems. Huckel theory of conjugated pi electron systems. In this pi electron systems, right? So cyclic molecules, acyclic molecules also we have seen, right? So in the case of the benzene system and butadiene, cyclic butadiene systems, right? What is an energy? Pi bonding energy is what, and delocalization energy is what, and bond order is what, and electron densities are what, and how many nodes are there, and what is the wave functions. What is the wave functions? So allyl systems and allyl systems we have seen, and simple ethylene systems we have seen. So and 1,3-butadiene systems. So this Huckel theory for conjugated pi electron system, every time there is a question is there. And in this case also we can discuss the quantum mechanical treatment to the sp, sp2 and sp3 hybridizations also, quantum treatment point of view. sp, sp2, sp3 hybridizations point of view also there is a question which is there, quantum mechanical treatment to the sp, sp2, sp3 hybridization. But which is not mentioned in the syllabus, but it is also covers, in that area also covers. These 4 units are interrelated. These 4 units are interrelated, which are related to the quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics nearly covers 25 to 30 marks. You may imagine. Out of 200 in physical chemistry area, particularly in physical chemistry, 200 is inorganic, organic and physical related areas. Out of the physical, in physical, these 4 units which are covers 25 to 30 marks. Without learning the physical chemistry, it is impossible to clear the CSIR-NET or even GATE, right? So if you know the physical chemistry, then very easy to clear the CSIR-NET. And compared to the organic also, you can easily attempt these questions also. Compared to the organic, these questions will be very easy to attempt. If you know the subject, until unless you know the subject, so if you know the subject, you can easy to attempt. Otherwise, it is not easy, right? So these 4 units which is mentioned, the first unit. Next, second unit is these 4 units which is mentioned. First, which are related to the quantum mechanics. And second one, which is another 5th unit which is mentioned in the syllabus. Another 1 unit which is mentioned, that is 5th unit. What is the 5th unit which is mentioned in the syllabus? That is related to the group theory. Group theory and its applications. That syllabus of the 5th unit is what? Group theory and its applications. Fifth unit is fifth unit which is mentioned in the syllabus, group theory and its applications. Group theory and its applications. And symmetry elements, and point groups, and characteristic tables and its applications, selection rules and its applications. So which is mentioned in the syllabus, 5th unit. This unit also quantum mechanics related, the group theory and its applications. Quantum mechanics related, which is there somewhat. And symmetry elements, which is there. And based on the symmetry elements, point groups also there. Based on the symmetry elements and point groups, we can develop the characteristic tables and applications are there. Right? This is the another one unit. This unit, from this unit, you may imagine the questions, it may be inorganic related or it may be the physical related, whatever it may be the questions. Symmetry elements which are there, point groups as well as the group theory. Right? So it is interrelated topics. Interrelated topics. First you know the symmetry elements, then point group, then character table, that is called as the group theory. And 6th unit, which is mentioned in the syllabus, molecular spectroscopy. Molecular spectroscopy. Molecular spectroscopy. This is mentioned as the 6th unit, molecular spectroscopy, according to the CSIR-NET syllabus. In this particular unit, mentioned vibrational rotational spectra. Vibrational and rotational spectra of diatomics. Spectra of diatomic molecules. So vibrational rotational spectra. Vibrational is IR. Right? And rotational is like microwave. Vibrational energies depends upon IR, infrared, and rotational is like microwave spectra, microwave radiation. So based on the vibrational and rotational spectra of the diatomic molecules, what will be happen? Here in this case, anharmonic and harmonic oscillator, that type of wind which is mentioned in the quantum mechanics, that relation also it may be there. Anharmonic and harmonic also, maybe based on that questions will be there. Right? And force constant related questions and frequency related questions are there. And rotational spectra is also there, how to calculate their masses, right? And bond lengths, based on that questions will be there. Rotational and vibrational spectra of the diatomic molecules. And electronic spectra, next one is mentioned as electronic spectra or UV visible spectra. Ultraviolet visible spectra, chromophore and oxochrome. When N2 pi star transition takes place and pi 2 pi star transition takes place, which one is highest bond length, which one is lowest bond length, right? Which is depends upon frequency of the radiation and wavelength of the radiation. Which one is having lower wavelength of the radiation and higher wavelength of the radiation, N2 pi star or pi 2 pi star or N2 sigma star, right? Or sigma to sigma star, which one? And what is the selection rules also there? Right, based on which level to which level it is, selection rules are possible like that. All it may be there in the electronic spectra. And selection rules, which is mentioned. Selection rules. And another which is mentioned, another one, IR and Raman activities. IR and Raman activities. Comparison takes place, the IR and Raman activities. Right, centrosymmetric, non-centrosymmetric molecules like that. So the IR strokes, anti-strokes lines like that. So based on this, IR and Raman is also interrelated. Right? Some IR modes will be active and Raman modes are inactive some of the cases, or some of the cases both will may be active. And this one and this group theory also some relation will be there. This IR and Raman activities is which is an IR active or Raman active, which is depends upon the reducible and irreducible representations and characteristics tables of the group theory also. So like this one is also interrelated. And IR and Raman activities which is mentioned, and selection rules. Selection rules. And general principles of the another one which is mentioned, general principles of magnetic resonance. That means like that NMR, magnetic resonance. Right? Magnetic resonance spectra. General principles of magnetic resonance. This is the another one unit which is mentioned in the syllabus. 7th unit. 6th unit. This 7th unit is thermodynamics, chemical thermodynamics. Chemical thermodynamics. This is also important unit Many times questions are there in chemical thermodynamics, right? Nearly 10 to 15 marks will be there. Nearly 10 to 15. You can compare the last 10 years examination point of view, 10 years previous examinations, nearly 15 marks will be covered. 10 to 15, compulsory. Minimum 10 marks is there, maximum 15 to 20 marks also there in some of the examinations. Right? Minimum you can expect 15 marks from this area, chemical thermodynamics. What mentioned in this area? Laws. Which one is mentioned? Laws. And in the chemical thermodynamics, laws and state and path functions. Path functions and its applications. So first law is what, second law is what, third law is what, and zeroth law is what, and its applications, and which one is state function, which one is path function, and its applications, which is mentioned. And another one which is mentioned, the thermodynamic description of various types of process. Thermodynamic description of various types of process. In this area, we can discuss when entropy and free energy, right, and Gibbs free energy like that. So when entropy is changed, when variation of the temperature and pressure is how, temperature and volume is how, and like that, if it is free energy cases also, right, and Gibbs equations, also we have seen Gibbs equations for closed and equilibrium systems is what, and Gibbs-Helmholtz equations is what, and want-of theories are what, and equilibrium constants are what, right? And what is the absolute theories, calculation of the entropies, absolute entropies for the solids, liquids and gases, and phase transitions, all it may be we have considered. So thermodynamic description of various types of process, just mentioned. We can imagine the syllabus based on the previous 10 to 15 years questions. Right? Thermodynamic description of various types of process which is mentioned, and Maxwell relations. Maxwell relations which is mentioned, the topic is Maxwell relations. And another one, thermodynamic descriptions of, another one are elementary description of phase transitions, elementary descriptions of phase transitions, and phase equilibria and phase rule. Phase equilibria and phase rule. Phase equilibria and phase rule which is mentioned. And another one, this temperature and pressure dependence thermodynamic quantities. Temperature and pressure dependence thermodynamic quantities. Thermodynamic quantities and Le Chatelier principle which is mentioned. And another one which is mentioned in the syllabus, thermodynamics of ideal, non-ideal gases, ideal and non-ideal gases and solutions. So now here in this case, which one we can discuss? Nearly this unit will cover 15 marks compulsory. 2 to 3 long answer questions you may expect, 1 or 2 short answer questions, 2 marks questions. Right? So in this case, laws, state and path functions and its applications, and thermodynamics of the description of various types of process. I mentioned that entropy and different processes, and Maxwell relations. Compulsory there is a question is there from this area, Maxwell relations, And elementary descriptions of phase transitions like that Clapeyron equations, classes Clapeyron equations, and phase changes takes place. What will be happen? Phase transitions from solid to liquid, liquid to vapor, and it may be the solid to vapor form. It may be takes place. What will be happen? Based on that also you may imagine the question. What is molar enthalpy or entropy change? Right? When mole to gram, gram to mole, if it is also given, gram mole is also given. From one phase to another phase, physical phase also it may be changing takes place. What will happen? The phase equilibrium also there, like that Clapeyron classes, Clapeyron and material equilibrium conditions, like all it may be there. And phase rule also, there is a question is there. Phase rule, components and number of components and number of phases, as well as the phase rule, right? So components it may be given and degrees of freedoms. Based on that, the questions will be there in that. This is also this area, phase rule also, examination point of questions are there. And temperature and pressure dependence of the thermodynamic quantities. How the entropy depends upon the temperature and pressure. How free energies depends upon the Gibbs free energy, or it may be there are some other free energies, will be depends upon the temperatures and pressures. Right? And chemical potentials also there. How it will be depends upon that temperature and pressure, and partial molar quantities also, partial molar properties also, there is a question is there from these areas. And also Le-Chatelier principle. Here in the also Le-Chatelier principle it may be given, but in rare cases the question will be given. Le-Chatelier principle, and okay, this one is mentioned, and thermodynamics of ideal, non-ideal gases. Ideal gases and real gases case. Ideal and real gas. In real gases case, he was introduced to the concept of the fugacity, and its related questions are in there in the examination point of view. And ideal gases also there. Based on that Cp, Cv and Nr, based on that the questions will be there. Cp, Cv relations based on that questions will be there in ideal gases and non-ideal gases which are there. The concept introduced to the fugacity. And similarly, solutions, that means here it is ideal solutions, non-ideal solutions, ideal as well as non-ideal solutions. And chemical potential related questions are there in the ideal, non-ideal solutions. In non-ideal solutions or real solutions, he was introduced the concept of the activity and activity coefficient, like that questions also there. And that activity coefficients, which are detailed discussion takes place in the case of the electrochemistry point of view. Because electrochemistry we are using everywhere. And also in the mention in the syllabus, another one in the thermodynamics point of view, chemical thermodynamics, spontaneity and equilibria is mentioned. Spontaneity and equilibria. That means which conditions for the spontaneity or spontaneous process case and equilibrium case. Equilibrium are reversible and spontaneous are irreversible process case. Which one is delta S is which one, delta T, delta G is which one, delta A is which one, delta H, delta U or delta E energy is, internal energy is also which one it may takes place, and which parameters is depends upon which functions, like everything will be there in that chemical thermodynamics. Right? So this important unit, you can attempt the question easily, very easy if you know the concept. Right? And another one which is mentioned, another unit in the syllabus, statistical thermodynamics, 8th unit which is mentioned, statistical thermodynamics. From this unit, compulsory there is a question is there, at least 2 questions will be there. 2 questions, 8 marks will be there, 8 to 10 marks covered this statistical thermodynamics. You know the statistical thermodynamics unit. Before statistical thermodynamics, you know the chemical thermodynamics, and you have an idea about the chemical thermodynamics and little bit idea about the quantum mechanics. One is in the quantum mechanics, little bit idea, as well as another one is the detailed idea about the, the thoroughly, the thermodynamics. Then only you can easily understood the statistical thermodynamics. That means it is a relation, classical relation with the quantum, classical methods of the quantum, as well as the chemical thermodynamics. That is relation is there. So in the statistical thermodynamics, which is mentioned in the syllabus, Boltzmann distribution, question is there from this area. And another one which is mentioned, kinetic theory of gases. Kinetic theory of gases. Kinetic theory of gases. An important one which is mentioned in the syllabus, partition coefficients. Partition coefficients and its relation, partition coefficients and its relation with thermodynamic quantities, and its relation with thermodynamic quantities. Thermodynamic quantities. Partition coefficients, right? So partition functions. Partition functions. Partition coefficients, not partition coefficients, we may mention partition functions. Partition functions. Which one is the partition functions, right? And its relation with the thermodynamic quantities. Thermodynamic quantities, right? So electronic partition function is there, and vibrational partition functions are there, rotational partition functions are there, as well as transitional partition functions are there, and all it may be related with the thermodynamic quantities, G, H, S, E, A, like that. Thermodynamic extensive properties, like the thermodynamic quantities, it may be relations are there. And also, by using this, we can calculations takes place, we can calculations for modal systems. Calculations for the modal systems, like which one is the entropy, which one is the energy, and which one is internal energy, like that, or energy, which one is enthalpy, right? So that type of relations will also there. So calculations for modal systems also we have been calculated, right? Boltzmann distribution and kinetic theory of the gases, right? And partition functions and it's related to the thermodynamic quantities. So this will be mentioned in the 8th unit, right? So this is one type of syllabus which is mentioned. Another one unit which is mentioned according to the syllabus after this, statistical thermodynamics, electrochemistry is mentioned. In the syllabus, another unit which is mentioned as electrochemistry. So compared to the quantum mechanics, these units are little bit easy. That means syllabus is easy. Wide range of syllabus is there in quantum mechanics because that is here in this case mentioned, or it covers in the nearly 4 units which is mentioned in the syllabus, 4 sub-units which is mentioned, the total quantum mechanics. The first 4 units which are mentioned in the syllabus related to the quantum mechanics. That's what quantum mechanics unit you can appear as big, and videos also, video length also big, and videos also more number of videos can be prepared. In thermodynamics nearly enough for 20 to 25 hours, right, like that. So next another one which is electrochemistry. Is also important syllabus. Here in this topic also nearly covers, you can imagine the questions will be given, nearly two long questions will be given and 1 short answer question, 1 to 2 short answer questions you may expect while analyzing the last 10 years paper in the CSIR examination point of view, as well as GATE also it may be covered. So in electrochemistry area, nearly 10 to 15 marks you can expect, minimum 10 marks. So which one is mentioned in the syllabus? Nernst equation. From this Nernst equation and its problems. So from this Nernst equation you may imagine the one question most of the times. And mentioned redox systems. Mentioned redox systems. And another one which is mentioned, electrochemical cells. Electrochemical cells. From this electrochemical cells area also you can expect the question. Chemical cells, concentration cells, with transference, without transference, right? And electrode, again electrode concentration cells also there. It depends upon the with transference, without transference, and it's related to the liquid junction potential, right? So based on that, this theory will be there, electrochemical cell. You can expect the question, one long question will be there from this area. And another one which is mentioned in the syllabus, De-Haeckel theory. De-Haeckel theory. From this area also definitely there is a question is there. De-Haeckel theory. De-Haeckel-Onsager equations and De-Haeckel limiting law. Most of the case De-Haeckel limiting law there is a question is there. And also here in this case you may also calculate the ionic strengths also. In the De-Haeckel theory's case we are using, right, De-Haeckel theory and De-Haeckel limiting law and De-Haeckel-Onsager equation, ion association and dissociation concepts, all will discuss in that area, De-Haeckel theory. And another one which is mentioned in the syllabus, ionic equilibria. Ionic equilibria is mentioned in the syllabus. And theory of electrolytic conductance. Electrolytic conductance theories will be proposed. And Kohlrausch law. And Kohlrausch law. Kohlrausch law. In the Kohlrausch law, which is mentioned, Kohlrausch law and its applications. Kohlrausch law and its applications. Definitely there is a question is there from this area of the Kohlrausch law and its applications. Transport numbers is also there in the Kohlrausch law, right? Compulsory you may expect there is a question. And theory of electrolytic conductance, conductivities and specific conductance, like all it may be related in the Kohlrausch law, right? Another one which is mentioned in this syllabus, Kohlrausch law in its applications. And in the electrochemistry point of view which is mentioned, so not homogeneous catalysis is mentioned in the kinetics point of view. This type of questions will be there in the electrochemistry area, Kohlrausch law and its applications, right? Next, another one unit which is mentioned in the syllabus, chemical kinetics. So in this area, Kohlrausch law and its applications, another one is also mentioned, conductometric and potentiometric titrations also. Conductometric and potentiometric titrations. Which one is the conductometric titrations and potentiometric titrations? That one is also covered here in this area. Conductometric and potentiometric titrations. So this area is there in the electrochemistry point of view particularly. Next another one which is mentioned unit. This is nearly 9th unit. I think this is 10th unit which is there. Right? So the 10th unit which is mentioned as chemical kinetics. Chemical kinetics which is mentioned in this syllabus. What is mentioned in the chemical kinetics? This area also important. Nearly 10 marks will be compulsory from this chemical kinetics area also. So what mentioned here in this case, chemical kinetics case, so empirical rate loss, and temperature dependence. So in this particular point of empirical rate loss and temperature dependence means what is rate and what is an order, what is an molecularity, first order reactions are what, second order reactions are what, third order reactions are what, and temperature dependence Arrhenius equations are what. All those it may be covered in this area. Basics, all basics. And another one which is mentioned, the complex reactions. Complex reactions are which is mentioned, that means what is parallel reaction, what is opposite reaction, what is conjugative reaction, and what is chain reaction, all it may be in complex reactions. And another one which is mentioned in the syllabus, collision theories collision theories of the bimolecular or collision theory of reaction rates, and transition theory of reaction rates, transition state theory, collision theory and transition state theory of rate of reactions. So from this area also, transition state theory, you may imagine the question, transition state theory and collision reaction rates, collision theory of reaction rates or bimolecular reactions. And also you may expect the question, collision theory of the unimolecular reactions or Lindemann theory. Unimolecular reactions, at high pressure case what will be happen, at low pressure case what will be happen, right? And this transition state theory you may expect the question, bimolecular reactions also you may expect the question. From these three, collision theory of unimolecular and reaction rates and transition state theory, you may expect the question, long question. Another one from the complex reactions or this first order, second order, third order also you may expect the question. In this chemical kinetics point of view. Chemical kinetics point of view. Another one question definitely you may expect here in this chemical kinetics point of view, salt effects. Primary salt effect as well as the, sorry, in this is not in this area, in this electrochemistry point of view we can discuss. Electrochemistry point of view, it may be interrelated unit. So in electrochemistry point of view, salt effects are there. Salt effects, sorry, not in electrochemistry, this chemical kinetics point of view which is mentioned. Salt effects. Primary salt effects and secondary salt effects which is related to the ionic strengths and rates of the reactions. Ionic strengths as well as the rates of the reaction. Primary, secondary salt effects which is mentioned in the syllabus. Right? In the chemical kinetics point of view, and also mention the homogeneous catalysis. Homogeneous catalysis. Homogeneous catalysis which is mentioned in the syllabus. Right? So this unit which is mentioned as the chemical kinetics, empirical rate laws and temperature dependence, complex reactions, and chemical equilibrium also mentioned here in this case, collision theory and transition state theory and unimolecular reactions, as well as salt effects and homogeneous catalysis. Next, another one unit which is mentioned in this syllabus after the chemical kinetics, another one unit which is mentioned, colloids and surfaces. Colloids and surfaces. In the colloids and surfaces, what mentioned based on the colloids, the stability and properties of the colloids. Stability and properties of the colloids. What is the colloid properties and stabilities are what, depending upon the goal numbers, as well as the properties, Tyndall effects is what, and optical properties and kinetic properties what. So the stability and properties of the colloids which is mentioned, and based on the surfaces, surface chemistry, isotherms which is mentioned, isotherm equations, beta isotherm equation and Langmuir isotherm, and so the isotherms, Langmuir, Freundlich isotherms, right, beta isotherms will be given, based on that questions will be there, isotherms will be given, right, in the surface areas, isotherms, in that case again critical CIC which is mentioned, right. So the related questions also there, I can explain based on the unit, right. So isotherms which is mentioned in the surface areas, surface chemistry. And another one which is mentioned in the syllabus after the colloids, another one which is unit which is mentioned, solids or solid state. So in the colloids and surfaces which is mentioned, heterogeneous catalysis also. Heterogeneous catalysis. Homogeneous catalysis which is mentioned in the kinetics, and heterogeneous is mentioned in the colloids and surfaces. Another unit which is mentioned in this area also, there is a 4 marks question is there in this area also, 4 marks question. Critical micellar concentrations also, based on that also questions will be there, but which is not mentioned in the syllabus, it is part of the syllabus, part of the surface area, surface chemistry. Critical micellar concentration, based on that also questions will be there, right? So colloids and surface area, you can expect the question, one long mark question, one 4 marks question and one short answer question. You may expect them, nearly 6 marks. Easy, small topic, definitely there is a question is there. Very little bit syllabus is there. Since solid state is there, which is mentioned in the solid state point of view, crystal systems. Based on the crystal systems, can crystal structures, 7 types of crystal structures, Bravais lattices which is there, and Miller indices, the questions will be there, or most of the questions will be there in the FCC, BCC and CCP, that related questions, and which is occupying in the voids, octahedral void and tetrahedral void, and the molecular formula to obtain the formula. So based on that, the questions will be there. Crystal systems are there, and Brock's equation and its applications. Based on the Brock's equation, definitely there is a question is there. Definitely you may imagine the question. It is not directly dependent, it is related to the crystal systems, BCC, FCC, like that. The distance between the 2 layers, like that, the questions will be there. Brock's equation, questions and its applications are there. And another one which is mentioned in the solid state, band structure of solids, band theory. Band structure of solids. This is mentioned in the unit 12, which is mentioned in the syllabus. Colloids and surfaces and solid state, which is mentioned. Another 13 unit which is mentioned, polymers. From this also you may expect the 4 marks question. Which question it may be there? In related to the molar masses, number average molecular weight and weight average molecular weight, you may expect the question, right? From that molecular weight determination point of view, molar mass question will be there. And also you may expect the question, kinetics of the polymerization. It is related to like this, kinetics and polymerization process, step growth polymerizations, chain polymerization, and so many of the ionic polymerization and free radical polymerization. So many of the polymerization reactions are there, and kinetics of that polymerization reactions. Based on that, there is a question is there. 4 marks question, you may expect them. You can also easily attempt the question also. Last, another one unit which is mentioned in the syllabus. What is syllabus which is mentioned? Data analysis. Based on this also, the 4 marks question you may expect, 1 question, or short answer question is you may expect. Right? So 4 to 6 marks you may expect. This data analysis, compulsory there is a question is there. Which type of syllabus which is mentioned? Deviation is what? And standard deviation and standard deviation. Based on the relative deviations, standard deviation and standard deviations questions are there. And another one which is there, relative and absolute errors. Based on this also, the question will be there. What is relative errors and absolute errors? It also depends upon the deviations and standards. Standard deviation errors are there, and relative and absolute errors, and how many types of errors are there? Man-made errors, or it may be the artificial errors or natural errors will be there, depending upon the relative and absolute errors also there. And deviations, mean deviation, standard deviation, all it may be you have to calculate. Deviation and standard deviation, it may be mentioned, just deviation and mean deviation you have to calculate before standard deviation, like that. So, and relative errors and absolute errors which are there, right? And another one which is mentioned in the syllabus, linear regression. What is linear regression which is mentioned? Another one which is mentioned, covariance. Covariance is what? And correlation coefficients. Covariance and correlation coefficients. So this is the another 14th unit which is mentioned in the syllabus. This is the physical chemistry syllabus which is mentioned in CSIR-NET examination point of view. CSIR-NET examination point of view. In GATE exam also similar like syllabus is there, but here it is some of the units are not mentioned. I can explain in a later another one separate class will be mentioned for the GATE. The first 4 units I mentioned that the quantum mechanics is there in the GATE examination also. First 4 in addition to that some other one unit is also mentioned, Born open air approximations, right? Some of these another units also mentioned in the case of the GATE examination. The first 4 units which is mentioned as in the GATE syllabus, structure of atom. Structure of atom. All quantum mechanics is mentioned in 1 unit. 1 unit. Right? Slater and in the Slater determinants, Slater rules also mentioned in the GATE syllabus. Even though we can also discuss, we are discussing takes place the Slater rules, Slater determinants. In the case of the